So the video you're going to watch today is about forcible entry using conventional means, meaning ironwork. The reason we're creating this video is to try to improve consistency in not only the methods that we're doing forcible entry with, but the terminology as well. So we have our peers, Captain Stedman at Station 8, along with technician Paulette, will be assisting us, teaching us the correct terminology and the correct techniques for forcible entry.
So with terminology, when doing partner forcible entry, we use only 3 words. They're non-interchangeable and they don't sound like any other words. So those words would be hit, drive, and stop. Hit is a single tap of the flathead axe to the head of the Halligan, and you can be maneuverable with that tool when you're calling for hit. Drive is repeated. You want your forcible entry striking partner to go ahead and continue to drive this tool. That's after it's already set in place, and we're trying to drive it to get it deep into the sweet spot of the tool. And then stop, obviously, would be to stop. Either stop because the tool is set to force entry, or to stop because something's wrong, something needs to change, something's not working. So hit, drive, and stop. So that's when we talk about the mechanical advantage of our Halligan tool. Drop forward steel, a 30-inch bar. The strongest, most mechanical advantage you can get with this bar is on your adze, 2 inches in width. 30-inch bar gives you, in the can opener method on this plane, all the way back as far as you can. That is a 15-1 mechanical advantage. It changes when you go with the full length of the adze. You include your pike, obviously that's 6 inches there, so now you're looking at a 5-1 mechanical advantage. On the same, if we opt to use our fork end, either the bevel or the curve, you're looking at a little bit less mechanical advantage as well.
Okay, so we're going to talk about the methods we use to conduct forcible entry. The sequence we use following sizing up the door is gap, set, force. We're no longer utilizing shock the door for 2 reasons. One of the reasons is we lose control of the door. We step up, shock the door flies open, we don't have control of the door, we're not controlling the flow path. Second reason we don't utilize shock the door is we could potentially affect the structural integrity of the door. Make a hole in the door, not force the door, now we don't have the structural integrity working with us to utilize our conventional forcible entry techniques.
So following through with their sequence of forcible entry, we have gap, the initial stage of forcible entry. On the single firefighter technique, we like to utilize the gas pedal, the foot method, to give us the initial gap. You see how tight a jam typically is. We utilize the foot on the gas pedal to give us a little bit of opening. The foot is placed in as a gas pedal to give you initial gapping. You're going to follow through with the adze, doing a can opener method. On a typical residential structure, a residential door, this may be all you need to force entry. So after you've created your gap, we need to potentially capture or progress capture that gap to maintain it. We can do it a couple of different techniques. You can maintain gap with your foot pressure with that gas pedal technique as you're working your adze. You can utilize your partner as you come through. Go ahead and wedge. So good. Now he's going to capture it with the wedge of the axe, and now we can continue to change our position, switch our tool to force the door, or you can capture it with your aluminum wedge. You can release. And maintain our progress capture there, where you can continue to force the door. So now the tool's in position to be set by hits or strikes. The word we're going to utilize is hit. The technique that we're going to utilize, we have 3 different options. We can do a standing technique. All options will have the axe go in the approximate same plane. The end result is what we want to see is this. I want to see roughly a 45-degree angle of my flathead to my adze. The reason is I have the pike, I have the length of the adze, I have all sorts of things that hopefully stop me or make contact with, as opposed to On a straight perpendicular, I can glance off and hit him. I can glance off and hit an arm. Or if I go completely completely horizontal, I can do the same. I can miss, I can injure myself, I can injure my partner. This offers us the best method, the best technique to make full contact, get the most force, and be the most accurate with our target as well. We can do so in a standing kneeling technique, depending on how low we are, 6 inches above or below the lock. If I have to get down, I can get down on a knee, still utilizing as much power as I can to make my strike. And then we have the potential where we're in an area where interior hallway, smoke condition has forced us down, we're masked up, we have good, low visibility, we need to potentially be in a spot where we have to make full contact the entire time. That's where we utilize our Batwing technique, where I may be controlling and holding my door while my partner's holding here, and I'm going to be using, again, as much of a 45 as possible. You can practice that with your eyes closed, with your mask up, with cover over your face so you can't see it. What's that? And then you can also do that as a single firefighter. So you talking about setting the tool. The reason that our tools are marked and identified with these two different demarcations, is to identify where our tool is officially considered set and then where we're going to drive it to. This is the sweet spot in between the crotch gap all the way to the base of the crotch that will give us the most mechanical advantage, largest gapping, best ability of using the tools with the forks. What we're going to do is, as it's set, we're going to drive it in till we almost reach that crotch gap without losing it. We don't want to bury it because then we're going to lose the mechanical advantage. So this is what we call that sweet spot. Hit, 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 drive. Stop. So what's this showing you here is a good spot where I would consider my tool to be actually set. Our door prop has a little bit of give here, but typically we would be right at that point where the first line is. Now would be my call to my partner to go ahead and drive, get it all the way in where we bury that crotch gap, give us the most mechanical advantage to force this door. Ready? Drive. So we were actually able to, hang on, right there we go. We were actually able to force that door just by driving alone. It's important to note, on our movement, you'll note when we're calling hit, there's a little bit of manipulation. We're trying to guide the tool around the jam. Or if we're bevel to the jam, we're trying to guide the tool around the door. We do that manipulation slightly when we're calling for hit. We can still do it with drive, a little bit of back pressure or forward pressure on the Halligan to continue it to drive. What we don't want is to split a jam by driving directly into it, and we don't want to split the door or catch the door. We're trying to maintain the integrity of both those things at all times.
Talking about the setting the tool for forcible entry on the inward swinging door. There's two methods to do that. Traditional method is bevel to the door. We're going to set the forks of the Halligan 6 inches above or below the lock. The circles indicate the lock, roughly 6 inches. This position, bevel to the door, is when we have sufficient gap to set the tool. This gives me the maximum amount of MA and throw of the tool to force the door. Option B, plan B, we have a tight door. I wasn't able to create a lot of gap. I'm going to put the bevel of the tool towards the jam. This makes the tool more low profile. I'm going to drive the tool between the jam and the door, create a gap. I'm limited from this position in forcing the door by the adze of the Halligan.
Two firefighter conventional forcible entry on an inward swinging door. Hit, 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 drive. Stop. Now we have a outward swinging door, typically on a commercial structure on the Charlie side. Steel door, steel frame, and set in masonry. The techniques that we utilize are still the same, gap set force. Secondary locking mechanisms, drop bars, all those things we'll get into. However, the normal process still occurs that we have to force the primary locking mechanisms. How we're going to do so, by taking our adze as a single firefighter option and striking the door. This is a steel door. They're not solid steel. They have C-channel or steel bar running on this plane, but they're going to have some crush. The door itself just has a thin metal skin around it, and then there might be foam or some other insulation inside the door itself. We're going to create the crush by striking the door to try to get a good gap to be able to insert our adze. There's no other way that we can push or create any movement. The door, the jam, nothing's going to give without some force. We're going to do so by making multiple strikes, inserting our tool, and then with a typical steel door, we're going to get some gapping, and then we're going to go in our can opener method and use that plane. We have that option. We also have an option to use our aluminum wedge to do the same thing. We can drive our wedge in place and utilize that to create crush and gapping, like so. We're going to only be able to bury it to the rabbited jam. At that point, we're going to go ahead and insert our adze and work on our can opener method, which outside of our door prop, but on a real steel door, is going to have a lot of crush associated with it. When we're doing so, we're going to capture that progress with our wedge or with our partner with our axe. Once we're able to get the adze behind the rabbet and fully encase, fully wrap around the door, I should say, gives us total progress of the door itself. Continuing by tracking around. Now we have control of the door. Now we can work on forcing the door. Same rules apply. Once we force the door, control it for flow.
Conventional forcible entry to firefighter on a commercial outward swinging door. First technique, come up, assess the gap. If I have enough room to get my tool in there, I'm gonna crush just like this, crush down, crush up. This will give me the gap that I need. From here, I'm gonna have my partner drive the adze of the tool until I hit the rabbited jam. While my partner's driving, I want to be in a position where I can see what's going on. Hit, 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 stop. Okay. From this point, I can feel that the tool has hit the rabbited jam. I feel resistance. I can also see that my marking is where it's supposed to be. From here, I'm going to put back pressure on the tool. I'm creating a gap. I'm going to fully drive the Halligan bar to the crotch of the adze to have full control of the door. Drive. Halligan's fully driven. From here, I've got full control of the door. Door pops. Control the flow path. Ready for entry.
It's another important note on our commercial doors. The steel doors, the way that they're constructed and wrapped over, you have a seam here where the two pieces of sheet metal are rolled into each other. What can happen is if we were to catch this with the ends of the adze or forks, we would do what's called skinning the door. That makes forcible entry very difficult on a commercial door. As you're watching, as the tool's coming around, you're watching to make sure that you're not burying into those as you're doing your back pressure and forcing through. We want to capture the entire door with the adze as opposed to bury into the door with the adze.
Person conventional forcible entry on a commercial outward swinging door. We're going to discuss using the New York roof hook to get additional mechanical advantage on a difficult door. We're going to start by gapping the door. I've got my crush, got my gap. I'm going to hold my position. Partner's going to come in with the axe. Hit, 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 stop. Hit the rabbited jam. I'm going to visualize the opening. I've got the gap. From here, Partner's gonna come back in. We're gonna set the tool. Hit. Got back pressure on the tool. Drive. Stop. Okay. I pull on this 30 seconds 3 times. I'm not able to force the door with just myself and or my partner on the tool, so we're going to bring in additional mechanical advantage with the roof hook. Okay. All right. I'm going to maintain control of the Halligan bar and the tool. Partner's going to pull. We've extended our lever, giving ourselves an additional 6 foot of reach with the New York roof hook. This gives us the additional power we need to open the door. To give yourself additional mechanical advantage on a commercial door, 2-person forcible entry when we're having difficulty achieving opening the door with just 1 bar is to use 2 Halligan bars and marry the bars together. We're going to go fork to fork. I'm going to maintain control right here. I'm going to maintain control of the bar. My partner is going to go to the end of the lever, just like the New York roof hook. We're going to force the door.